Hello Commanders, I'm OUTLANDISHPIXEL. Okay, so Elite Dangerous 3.0 Beyond Chapter 1 has finally dropped, and I decided it was about time I revisited an old tutorial I did about mining. There's been many changes since then. The UI, for example, was totally different when I was in the outfitting screen last time. So I thought I would revisit it and do a two-part tutorial. This one is aimed at beginners, literally in the early stages of the game. It assumes that you know how to play. Generally, you know the basics of the game, you know how to navigate the galaxy map, and so on and so forth. But if you do have any other questions, put them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. Also, this is my recommendation when it comes to early mining. Now, before you get to this stage, I suggest you get a feel for the game. You earn credits by doing missions and combat and collecting bounties and such. And as soon as you can afford a Cobra, plus the outfitting, which I'm going to recommend will require another 300,000-ish credits, and then plus your rebuy, obviously. So before you go mining, you want to identify where you're going to go mining. Now, you know, you could just go to any ring near to you if that's what you want to do. I don't recommend going to asteroid belts. I would suggest going to a ring. And, you know, go wherever you fancy going. However, if you want to go to an efficient mining location, then I would suggest going to a metallic ring with pristine reserves. That is where you're going to find the best yields of metals. Now, if you want to find out where you get that information from, then if you select a planet with a ring, go to this second tab, you will find the information straight under the description of the planet you've selected. Here you'll see this has pristine reserves. And at the bottom, you've got the information about the ring, and here the type is metallic. They are the two important things to take into account. Pristine reserves and metallic is the best combination you're going to get. This might be quite confusing because there is also a metal-rich ring type, which does not give you as high yield as a metallic. So this is what you want to go for if you have the option. I will put in the description a link to a list of known locations. I'm saying find this location before you start mining because it's all about quality of life, and I'm assuming you have limited credits, so you want to travel with the best frameshift drive you've got, and get to a station nearby before you start putting a mining ship together. That's assuming that you really do have minimal credits to work with. Okay, so in my opinion, the Cobra Mk III is the best early mining ship you get. For your money, you get a decent amount of cargo space and also enough space for all the mining-related modules. Now, I've left all the core internals the way they are. This is all about saving money where we can. I've just gone for two 2D mining lasers. If you can only afford one, get one, and if you can only afford a small one, then go for a small one. Sell all your weapons. Another reason for choosing the Cobra is that it's a fast ship, and we're not going to be fighting anything. We are going to be running if we get into any kind of trouble. So the optional internals. For the moment, we're going to ignore cargo space. The three important modules for mining are the Prospector Limpet Controller, the Collector Limpet Controller, and the Refinery. Now, the Prospector Limpet Controller will allow you to fire a limpet, which will attach onto an asteroid, and then it will relay information back to you about what metal content and material content is in that asteroid. The Collector Limpet will allow you to collect the chunks that you shoot off with the mining laser, and then the Refinery will allow you to process those chunks into your cargo hold. Now I'm just going to jump out the outfitting screen and go to Coriolis.io, which, if you don't know about it, is a great website for planning your ship builds in advance. I really do suggest you use it. It has loads of information, which is very beneficial when you're thinking about power usage and such. And I'm just going to explain why I've chosen what I've chosen here. So I've got cargo racks in all the empty internals. Going back to the prospector firstly. Now with the prospector, we're gone for a size 1 here. Well, the only real difference with the different grades is the range it has. So, in my opinion, if you can afford a 1A, go for a 1A. I mean, it literally just makes your life easier. It means you can fire off a limpet from from further away. So, go for whatever you can afford, but this is definitely a secondary module, in my opinion. Now, collector limpet controller. Again, go for a 3, and then go for as big a grade as you can get. The general difference between grades is the range, and also the length of time. Generally, I will favour the range over the time, because limpets will often hit asteroids and get blown up for whatever reason. So I would personally, in my opinion, go for a 3B on this occasion, just for that extra range. But go with whatever feels right to you, and once you've tried this out, you might change your mind. You might notice that they're not lasting long enough. 7 minutes isn't long enough. So go with whatever feels right for you. Now the next thing, and this is the most costly thing at this stage of the game, I'd say, is the Refinery. Now, the Refinery is where you process all the chunks that you fire off the asteroid, and the only important thing here is the amount of bins you've got, because when you're shooting chunks off an asteroid, you can get lots of different types of metals all in one go. Now, don't just blindly go for the largest and best grade you can get, because it might not be necessarily the most efficient thing for you. You can see here a 4A is 4.5 million credits. This gives you 10 bins in this slot. Now, if you were to look at 4D, here you get 5 bins. Compare this to a 2B, you also get 5 bins. Now, what's the difference here? Slightly different power draw. So, really, it kind of makes more sense for you to go for a 4D in this occasion, because a 2B is almost twice as much. So, just double check that you're getting the most cost-effective Refinery. Now, once you've finished your outfitting, there's a couple things you need to do before you take off. First of all, go to Advanced Maintenance, and go to Restock, and make sure you buy limpets. This is something a lot of people will just totally forget to do before they leave a station. And then they'll just have to come back, and it wastes time. And is very, very irritating. So make sure you come here. And I would recommend buying about 2/3 or 3/4 worth of your cargo in limpets. You may end up getting rid of some and losing a bit of money, but it's not really that many credits. So that's my recommendation, but this will differ depending on your playstyle and, you know, how good you are at conserving your limpets. Next thing you need to do is go to your fire groups and make sure your mining lasers are set, and your prospector and collector limpets are also set to their separate fire buttons. Now, the final thing you need to do before you leave a starport is to check the mission board and look for any mining missions, just so you can focus on those metals and just make that extra bit of money on your return. Now, where you find mining missions is a bit weird, because I used to find them all the time in my home system, which is a high-tech system. Now they're non-existent. You should be able to find them in extraction systems, but again, I've looked at many extraction systems where they don't exist either. So this is something I'm not too sure about at the moment. It seems very inconsistent. Now, as you approach your mining location, I would recommend coming from the side that the star is on, just so you've got light. We are flying shieldless, and the last thing you want is to fly into an asteroid in the dark. I would also recommend picking anywhere in the ring you want. Don't go to a resource extraction site. In fact, there might not even be one, because there is no need. You do this, you're much more likely to be uninterrupted while you're mining. Now don't speed into the ring, go nice and slowly, otherwise you will take hull damage. Now, as soon as you drop, boost away as quickly as you can and head towards the planet. Now, sometimes NPCs will drop in behind you, or the ships will just spawn in the area. So I would recommend getting out there as quickly as possible so you don't get shot at. Now, if you do get shot at, you are shieldless, you are weaponless, so just run away. So, there doesn't seem to be anyone following us, so it looks like we are in the clear. Now, I'm just going to come to a stop. Let's get our hard points out. Now, the first thing we're going to do is aim towards an asteroid and then fire off our prospector. We'll take a moment to fire, and as soon as it's fired, just select it, so as soon as it hits the asteroid, you know about it. Now on the bottom left you can see the amount of minerals remaining and also the content of that asteroid. This way you can use your time efficiently and you can ignore certain asteroids if they don't have the right metals you're looking for. Now in my honest opinion, I would aim for the metals that get you the most amount of money on the marketplace, or metals that have been requested in your missions that you've selected. Don't just blindly fire at an asteroid. You need to look at the way it's moving and how that's going to affect the chunks that are going to fly off it. Now, I want to try and get to one of the axes that it's spinning on so that the chunks all kind of go close to each other and don't fire off randomly. Now, in the bottom left, you will see the minerals remaining going down. We're at 60% left now. And all the chunks have flown off and are vaguely in the right kind of area we want them. They're all vaguely close together because we've come to the axis that it's spinning on. Now, if we were to select one of these, we can see that it has a hull percentage of sorts. It's going down. They don't last forever, so you want to get collecting as quickly as possible. So I am going to fire out a collector. Now, if you have a fragment selected and you fire out collector, this is what's going to happen. Just going to get my cargo scoop out. Now the collector limpet expired. It blew up. And it's a weird thing about this game, but if you select an object in space to collect and then fire a collector, it will only collect that and that's it. So you need to select none of them and then fire some collectors. So I'm going to fire both of them. I have a maximum of 2. And they should start doing their job. I'm going to leave the cargo scoop open so they can get back in. So this is the basics of mining, really. It's all about managing your time efficiently, making sure that you don't fire and break off too many fragments of metals, because if they all expire before your collectors get them, then it was a waste of time. But I'm confident they will collect the rest of these, so I will just keep firing. Now, if you head over to your inventory and down to Refinery, you can see the types of metals that you are currently collecting. Now, once that percentage gets to 100%, then it will turn into a fully refined piece of that metal and will move into your ship's cargo. Now, when you're finished with an asteroid, I would recommend always heading towards the planet. That way, you've got a clear path, and you know you're not going to fly around in circles and try and mine the same asteroids. So now I'm going to fire another prospector. Now, it will say prospector failed in the top right. That's fine. That just means the previous one you fired has been destroyed, because you can only fire one at a time. Now here we can see silver, osmium, and indite. I'm going to ignore this because, again, in my refinery, I have totally different metals in the bins. I want to try and go for a similar similar metals. Focus on those. So now we've got an indication that palladium has been refined. That means it has got to 100% in our refinery and will now be in our ship's cargo. So as well as metals, you can see there are also materials for engineering, and you will, if you do this from an early stage, collect materials, then you will appreciate it later on when you actually want to do some engineering, believe me. Now, at some point, you will see this error in the bottom left saying resources unallocated, and in the top right, we have an indication saying refinery full. So we head over to our refinery. You can see that all the bins are currently full with a percentage of these metals. And here in the hopper, we have samarium, 8%. Now, what we can either do is eject one of the bins, or we can eject what's in the hopper. So you just have to make that decision. So generally, I would get rid of something which, you know, isn't really worth much. Now, I can't remember off the top of my head which of those it is, but certainly not palladium or platinum, so I'm going to get rid of gallite, for example. Now you'll see the samarium has filled that spot. Okay, so now I've got to a point where my cargo hold is full. I only had to jettison 2 limpets, so 18 out of 24 was a decent ratio of limpets to take in the end. But it will totally depend on the way you play and how lucky you get with your prospectors. If you have to fire loads of prospectors, then obviously you're going to go through your limpets really, really quickly. You can obviously still pick up the fragments with your cargo scoop. If you want to do that, that will obviously affect the collectors and they will have to chase you and it'll make your life a bit more difficult. So really, collectors are the best way to go about it, even in the early stages. You're only really going to use your cargo scoop if you are mining in, say, like a hauler or adder or something like that. But anyway, I hope this has been useful for you guys. Once again, the Cobra Mk III I really do think is the best early mining ship, and you're looking at around 700,000 credits plus rebuy if you want to be able to run a mining ship at this stage. Alright, thank you very much for watching, guys. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to put them down below, and in the near future I will be doing an advanced mining tutorial for those people with an abundance of credits. Once again, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the black.